Hello guys, welcome back. This is going to be a fairly short video. Yeah, I know, quit laughing. But anyway, it will be short. We're going to be talking about wings again now for the next stage of our build. And this time we're going to talk about, have a short little blurb about wing spars and also prepping the wings, putting on balsa root rib, and I'll explain the reason why we need that there during the video. But let's get started on exactly what we're going to do with the wings. Okay, guys, we're going to be looking at three sets of left wing panels. As you can see, we've got the Dow blue XPS foam panel back there. I'm going to be vacuum bagging that with considerable pressure. We've got back here in the back a regular expanded regular old styrofoam that we've been using all along, and it's going to be vacuum bagged with low pressure. And then here in the front we've got one that we spoke of earlier in the video that's actually an expanded wing with an XPS tip to give it a little bit more protection. I've done this a few times. I'm still kind of wondering if it's really even necessary. But there are the three wings that we're going to be working with. Again, high pressure vacuum bag, low pressure vacuum bag, and paper covered. So we'll go from there. So let's get things started. Hello guys, this is just a quick word about wing spars in foam wings. There's several ways to do this, and I'm going to actually use a couple during this build. But one of them that I wanted to show you is using wood veneer. It's to veneer furniture or edge band plywood. And what we're going to do is layer that into our self-made plywood and use that as a wing spar. And I'm just going to show you here a quick shot at how I strip these out of the sheet of veneer. I buy it in 4x8 sheets. You don't have to buy it in big sheets, but I'll link to a website called joewoodworker.com, and all sorts of veneers and edge banding supplies are there, as well as a lot of info on vacuum bagging. The edge banding is also available on Amazon, and you can get it in various widths, so you don't even have to cut strips like I'm doing here. But enough talk. Here's the strips. Okay, let me tilt the camera down so you guys can see. Okay, I've laid out on this piece of veneer 12 millimeter strips, and all you have to do, of course, is just cut them off. Snap blade knives, or I haven't used an X-Acto knife in decades. The blades dull easily. They've gotten more and more expensive. So I use these little 9 millimeter snap blade knives. Now, here's a 12 millimeter strip of paperback veneer. You can see that it's actual wood on one side and a paper backing on the other. The paper backing doesn't have any impact on what we're going to do at all. So what we're going to do is make our own plywood, and sometimes you can do this with 2 strips. You can do it with 3 strips. Let me do a quick measurement here. And this is approximate, of course. But 3 strips of this particular ply, let me move that around where I've got it compressed, is just about exactly 3 millimeters. So this stuff is about 1 millimeter thick. Now, you'd never need a wing spar in these small foam wings thicker, I don't think, than 3 millimeters made out of this ply. And what we're going to do is we're going to laminate them. You can do it in a vacuum bag, or you can just merely glue them together and put some weight on them to press it, but you need it flat. And what we're going to do is we're going to inset this into the wing vertically. If this were a wing instead of a junk piece of foam, what's going to happen is a slot will be cut in the wing, and these will be set in vertically. And that forms an I-beam when you cover the wing with either fiberglass or paper or whatever. That becomes an I-beam and makes for a very stiff wing. So there's that, and we will move on to some other things after I get these all cut out and glued up. And one of the other spars we'll use, I'll show you 1/8 inch dowels from Home Depot or Lowe's, and also carbon rod and carbon tube would be the most expensive way to go. And me being the cheapskate that I am, I try to make things inexpensively. Okay, thank you. I do want to jump in here and talk about spars one more time here before we get started. These spars, when they are inset into a wing, like this one, for example. Now, this is just an example wing. This one is overbuilt as far as spars are concerned because it's going to have some landing gear, and this is going to be a pretty rugged little airplane. Now, this is not the Zero that we're working on. Okay, this is a different model, and it needed some reinforcement here along the center line to support some pretty heavy-duty landing gear. We're not going to be using landing gear in the Zeros that we're building because we're building belly sliders. So that brings me to what I would like to talk about. Anytime you're building a model airplane, weight matters. The lighter they are, the better they fly. That's just the way it is. The lighter they are, the better they fly. Now, you can talk about wind penetration and everything like that. You know, you got to do horses for courses. So, yeah, if you're wanting to do a DS sloper and you're going to go 500 miles an hour, then you're going to have a little bit different spar. But we're talking about park flyers here. Now, this is one of those spars that I cut out. It's 12 millimeters by 1 millimeter. And that is going to be plenty for the Zeros that we're building without any landing gear or belly slider. This will work. What happens when you, let me see if I can get a flat piece of something. How about another spar? Okay. When these are inset vertically into the wing, up and down like this, and then the wing covering goes over the top of them and is bonded to the top, what that forms is a T-beam like that. Of course, this covering that's on top, I've just got another little, this would be the either the laminated paper that we're going to do or epoxy glass, but it bonds to the top of this vertical beam, making a T, and that's very strong. So we're going to use 12 millimeter by 1 millimeter spars for the Zeros. But the glue up, I'll show you how to glue these up. I mean, it's a piece of cake. It's gluing two pieces of wood together. A child could do it, okay? All right, get your kindergartner to get with you here, and we'll glue up spars. Okay, time to glue up these two laminations and make a spar. You can use just about any kind of glue that you want. This is just regular old white glue, cheap stuff. You can use Elmer's school glue for this. Whatever, it's going to be plenty strong enough for what we're going to do. And all you got to do, and we've got a piece of this visqueen. This stuff is cheap. It's disposable stuff. Got a piece of visqueen down here so that Any glue overruns won't really matter. And you don't need a super thick layer of glue on this. But you need it covered. It's got to be 100% coverage, but it doesn't have to be super thick. Okay. Okay, that's all that's required of that. You put that over there. Next, just pick it up and align the two pieces. Now, I've previously cut some masking tape, so with this alignment all squared up, I'm going to tape this in and leave it like that. Then all you've got to do, run your hand down, that will align it. Just keep running your hand down the thing. I'll put it over here on a little fresh area of the visqueen so that it doesn't get all this excess glue here spread out over the place. And now you can see that it's perfectly aligned, so there's nothing to worry about there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it right here so that I've got enough length to lay it down flat. And that's all I need for that. Okay? Now I've got another piece of visqueen because you don't want to... this plastic, it's so cheap. It's just disposable. So I'll be tossing this when we're done. Okay, just lay that on there. And then you can use any kind of weights you want. I've got lead weights over there that I've used in the past. I've got this. What I'm going to do with this right now is I'm just going to sit that on there. And I've got a couple of lead weights over here. Might as well add them. This workbench that I'm working on is flat. I made sure that when I built this bench that it was flat. Just so that I could use it for things like this and not have to worry about building bananas out of stuff. But there we are. Let me put this one up here like this. It's trying to roll over on me. And pick up and move it. There we go. Okay, all flat. I can come back in a few hours and that will be done. And again, that's a cheap way to laminate up some thin veneer plywood into a spar. That easy. Okay, we have been talking about spars and gluing up this cheap plywood edge banding or veneer to make spars. I didn't mention it in the last glue-up video, but of course you can use vacuum bagging. I just wanted to show you other techniques as we go along. I'm trying to do as many of the techniques as I know, which are not very many, but kind of going through them as we go along in case you don't want to fool with a vacuum bag. I didn't want to fool with it that time. There was no need to. So we just glued them up. Next time, in the next video, I told you this one was going to be a little bit shorter. In the next video, we're going to put the spar in the wing here right at the thick part of the maximum thickness of the cord. That's generally about the best place you can put them. And we're also going to be talking about putting balsa at the wing root and the reason why we're putting balsa at the wing root. And also what we're going to do to get just a little bit of dihedral into the wing. So come back again if you're interested and we'll talk about that. Thank you for sticking around.